Daniel never liked airports. To him, they were places of waiting, of noise wrapped in artificial calm. The constant announcements, the rolling suitcases, the tired smiles of travelers pretending not to be exhausted all blended into a single feeling of emotional distance. Airports were never destinations, only pauses between lives. On that cold November morning, Daniel sat alone at Gate 47 of Heathrow Airport, staring at the departure board. His flight to Toronto was delayed by 3 hours. 3 hours he hadn't planned to spend thinking. He was 32, recently divorced, and flying to Canada for a new job he wasn't even sure he wanted. The move was supposed to be a fresh start, but it felt more like an escape. He ran a hand through his dark hair, sighed, and reached for his coffee, already lukewarm. That was when he noticed her. She was standing near the window, looking out at the rain-soaked runway. Unlike most travelers, she wasn't on her phone. She wasn't rushing or pacing. She simply stood there, hands wrapped around a small notebook, as if the world had slowed down just for her. Daniel tried not to stare, but something about her presence felt different, calm, grounded, real. She wore a long gray coat and a deep blue scarf, her brown hair tied loosely behind her head. When she turned slightly, he saw her face, thoughtful eyes, a soft smile that seemed reserved not for anyone in particular, but for the moment itself. He looked away, embarrassed by his own curiosity. Minutes passed. The airport announcement echoed again. Attention passengers of Flight 712 to Toronto. Departure delayed due to weather conditions. A collective groan filled the gate area. She doesn't look annoyed, Daniel thought. Almost as if sensing his gaze, she turned toward him and smiled. "Looks like we'll be here a while," she said, her voice warm and slightly amused. Daniel blinked, surprised. "Yeah, airports seem to enjoy testing our patience." She laughed quietly. "I think they test more than that." He stood up, unsure why his heart suddenly felt faster. "Mind if I sit here?" he asked, gesturing to the empty seat beside her. "Not at all," she replied. They introduced themselves. Her name was Emily. She was traveling to Toronto as well, but only for a short visit. A conference. Work she loved, but still work. Their conversation began lightly, complaints about delays, jokes about airport food, shared observations of the endless flow of strangers. But soon, without either of them noticing when it happened, the conversation deepened. Emily spoke about her passion for urban design, about how cities reflect the people who live in them. Daniel told her about his love for photography, how he captured moments because he was afraid of forgetting how things felt. "You don't seem like someone running away," Emily said gently after a pause. Daniel hesitated. "Maybe not running," he admitted. "But searching. Or hiding. I am not sure." She nodded, as if she understood exactly what he meant. Time moved strangely around them. The noise of the airport faded, replaced by a quiet connection that felt unexpected and rare. They talked about childhood memories, about fear and hope, about the strange beauty of meeting people you were never supposed to meet. "I don't usually talk this much to strangers," Daniel confessed. "Neither do I," Emily replied. "But maybe we're not strangers." "Not really." Another announcement came. Boarding would begin in 30 minutes. Daniel felt a sudden fear, not of flying, but of losing this moment. "So," he said carefully, "what happens after Toronto?" Emily smiled, but there was uncertainty in her eyes. "Life continues. I go back to London. You start a new chapter." He nodded, though the thought felt heavier than it should have. At the boarding gate, they stood side by side, closer than before. When their passports were checked, Emily paused. "Daniel," she said softly, "do you believe in coincidences?" "I used to," he replied. Now I think some things happen for a reason we don't understand yet." She smiled. "Then maybe this is one of them." On the plane, they sat together. They watched the clouds stretch endlessly beneath them, shared headphones to listen to music, and spoke less but felt more. Sometimes silence said everything. When the plane landed in Toronto, reality returned too quickly. At baggage claim, Emily turned to him. "I am really glad we met," she said. "So am I," Daniel replied. His voice was steady, but his heart wasn't. They exchanged numbers, unsure what promises to make, unsure if any were necessary. "Whatever happens," Emily said, "this mattered." Daniel watched her walk away, disappearing into the crowd. The airport swallowed her just like it swallowed everyone else. But this time, something was different. Weeks passed. They texted, then called, then video chatted late into the night, sharing their days, their thoughts, their growing feelings. Distance was inconvenient, but it wasn't empty. 3 months later, Daniel flew back to London. This time, he didn't mind the airport. Emily waited for him at the arrival hall, holding the same blue scarf. When their eyes met, the noise disappeared again. Love, Daniel realized, didn't always arrive with certainty or plans. Sometimes, it arrived unexpectedly between delayed flights, under fluorescent lights, in places meant only for passing through. And sometimes, the place you least expect becomes the place where everything begins.